Imagine logging into a highly anticipated job interview. You are wearing your best professional attire.
Your lighting is perfectly calibrated.
Exactly. You have spent the last 3 days prepping your technical portfolio. You are completely ready to impress.
But when the screen finally loads,
There is no human on the other side. Instead, an artificial intelligence is waiting for you. And this AI is not just asking standard resume questions.
not at all.
It is actively testing your ability to seamlessly jump between English and simplified Chinese. It evaluates your core technical expertise and your cultural fluency in real time. Welcome to the new gatekeepers of the tech world.
It is a massive shift in how global talent is evaluated, and quite frankly, it is intimidating for a lot of candidates.
Absolutely.
Today, our mission in this deep dive is to unpack exactly what the Mercor Chinese-English bilingual interview actually entails. We are going to explore what this AI is actively looking for under the hood.
We will look at how you have to translate highly complex technical concepts between these two languages.
Right, and we will outline the precise, actionable strategies you need to master to beat the bot and secure roles like the simplified Chinese generalist evaluator expert.
To accomplish this, we pulled together a really comprehensive stack of sources. We are looking directly at official Mercor AI interview documentation.
We also analyzed real applicant experiences and post-interview debriefs shared on Reddit.
Plus, we are dissecting targeted preparation guides and exploring a brilliant linguistic breakdown of Chinese tech terminology. So let us just jump right in. Looking at the sources, it is immediately clear this goes way beyond basic translation.
Way beyond.
If you are just fluent in both languages, that is simply not enough to pass.
Not even close. The specific role, heavily detailed in our sources, is the bilingual simplified Chinese generalist evaluator expert. This is a position paying between $25 and $30 an hour.
Which is a solid rate.
It is. And the core realization you need to have right off the bat is that the AI is not running a simple vocabulary check. It evaluates 3 distinct high-level core competencies. The first is instructional clarity.
Meaning what, exactly?
This role requires you to author prompt and golden answer pairs. For those familiar with training pipelines, these pairs are exactly what train advanced large language models through reinforcement learning.
Okay, so you have to prove you can write instructions that are impeccably clear and logically structured.
Precisely. Because if the instructions are muddy, the AI model learns muddy, unpredictable behavior.
That makes sense. But how does that tie into the bilingual aspect?
That leads directly to the second competency, which is cultural context. It is not enough to literally translate English prompt instructions into Chinese.
You have to evaluate the model outputs?
Yes, for accuracy, fluency, and cultural fit, specifically tailored for China-specific consumer contexts. You're essentially ensuring the AI does not sound like a machine brute-forcing a translation.
It needs to sound like a native speaker who understands local digital nuances, slang, and consumer expectations.
Exactly. And the third competency is critical thinking. The AI evaluates how well you distill complex, abstract concepts into well-crafted, culturally grounded, simplified Chinese text.
All while maintaining strict technical precision in English.
Right.
But here is what fascinates me about the psychological experience of this. When you are sitting there, speaking into your microphone, staring at a blank screen, or a pulsing orb, the AI is scanning your speech for keywords directly from the job description.
Yes, it is listening for very specific markers.
But it is also evaluating your pronunciation, your lack of hesitation, and your ability to convey that nuanced cultural meaning without stumbling. It is a massive cognitive load.
It really is. It is a high-pressure test of how well your brain bridges 2 entirely different linguistic structures while under observation.
And the most intense friction point here is the specific challenge of technical jargon.
Oh, absolutely. Chinese tech giants, companies like ByteDance, Tencent, and Alibaba, have developed a highly specific internal engineering culture.
And that culture comes with its own jargon.
Jargon that simply does not have a direct one-to-one English equivalent. If you are applying for this role, you have to be able to explain these concepts smoothly in both languages, seamlessly bridging the gap.
It is one thing to say you can translate tech jargon. It is another to actually do it under pressure. Let us demonstrate this for the listener.
Good idea.
If I am a candidate and I bring up a concept in English during a DevOps discussion, how is the AI expecting me to bridge that to Chinese? For example, let us talk about a beta release or a canary release for code deployment. You cannot just use a literal dictionary translation of a bird in a coal mine.
No, that would fail the cultural context check instantly.
Yeah.
To bridge that for the AI, you would explain the Chinese concept of huidu.
Huidu. And what is the literal translation of that?
Literally translated, huidu means grayscale. You would explain to the AI that intuitively, this represents the transition from 0% to 100%.
Just like moving from black to white.
Exactly. When rolling out new features to a subset of users, it is a grayscale transition. You are showing you understand the Western concept of canary releases and the Eastern concept of grayscale deployments simultaneously.
That makes a lot of sense. You are proving the conceptual link. Let us try another one. Think about the way we talk about engineering inefficiencies. In the West, if a team is building custom tools when a perfectly good standard solution already exists, we call it reinventing the wheel. How does a candidate translate the cultural weight of that?
The Chinese equivalent for that is Lindsay.
Which literally translates to wheel.
Yes, it literally means wheel. But to pass the cultural context check, a candidate would explain that in Chinese tech culture, engineers sometimes create new Lindsay just to fulfill their key performance indicators.
Or to secure a promotion.
Precisely. It is tied to a very specific, highly competitive corporate culture where you have to prove you built something from scratch to justify your headcount, even if those tools are entirely redundant.
So you are not just defining the word, you are explaining the KPI-chasing culture behind it. That is a crucial distinction. Let us do a third example. In Western tech culture, when we wrap up a massive DevOps push, we talk about postmortems. We consolidate our learnings into a systematic solution.
You take all the chaotic lessons from a messy project and build a reusable framework.
Exactly. So how do we translate that conceptually for the AI?
You would use the Chinese term Chendian. Literally, Chendian translates to chemical precipitation.
Chemical precipitation. That is a fascinating visual.
It really is. You would draw the analogy for the AI evaluator that, just like a messy, murky liquid eventually settles into a clear, structured solid in a chemistry lab, a team's chaotic, unstructured project experience settles into a clear, structured, reusable solution.
The visual of a murky liquid settling into a solid framework is brilliant. Okay, one more. What about front-end tracking? In product management, we constantly talk about tracking user data analytics and mapping out the customer journey through the UI.
The Chinese term for this is median. Literally translated, median means burying dots or embedding seeds.
Embedding seeds, I like that.
You explain to the AI that you are burying seeds in the front-end code today so you can harvest and map out the user journey data tomorrow, showcasing that specific ability. Pairing the strict English technical term with the culturally intuitive Chinese literal translation proves your value.
You are demonstrating to the AI that you do not just know two languages. You deeply understand two distinct engineering cultures.
Exactly.
So now that we know the level of depth required for the answers, we need to understand the actual arena we are stepping into. Let us outline the format of the Mercor interview itself. According to the sources, it is a strict 20-minute AI-led session.
And it is heavily resume-driven.
Right. The AI ingests the PDF you submitted and dynamically builds the interview around your past experiences.
We can break down the question types based on the extensive candidate reports from Reddit and the prep guides. Broadly, they fall into three categories.
What is the first one?
The first is background probes. The AI will say something deceptively simple like, explain a recent project.
But it will not accept a superficial, high-level marketing answer, will it?
Not at all. It will actively dig into the back-end architecture, the specific data inputs, and the measurable outcomes. You must provide data-backed results.
Wait, so it actually parses your resume in real time and asks specific architecture questions based on what you claim to know?
Yes. If you put that you optimized a deployment pipeline, the AI will ask you what specific bottlenecks you identified and what the percentage decrease in deployment time was.
That is intense. What is the second category?
Situational and cultural questions. This goes right back to our jargon discussion. You might be asked to explain a Chinese idiom in English.
Or, conversely, you might be asked to summarize a highly technical, dense English text regarding machine learning architecture into simplified Chinese.
While ensuring the tone fits a very specific, non-technical consumer audience.
Right. And then there's the third category, which frankly sounds terrifying. The curveball.
The curveballs are legendary on the Reddit forums.
Because this is a dynamic generative AI, it is not just pulling from a static bank of 10 questions. It can generate highly unexpected prompts to test your cognitive load.
The sources highlight a perfect example of this. There is a widely shared anecdote from a Reddit user who was right in the middle of their technical interview explaining database management.
And suddenly the AI pivoted.
Completely pivoted. It asked, what do you think about the impact of globalization on minority cultures?
That is completely wild. The candidate reported that they completely froze. It was so unexpected and entirely unrelated to the job description.
And then, bizarrely, because the candidate was silent, the AI just answered its own question and moved on to the next topic.
But my question is, why would an AI programmed to hire tech evaluators ask about globalization and minority cultures?
It is likely stress testing. The AI evaluates how you handle context switching. In a real-world evaluator role, you are constantly jumping between vastly different types of prompts and topics to train the language model.
The AI wants to see if a sudden shift in topic causes your language fluency to break down.
Exactly. Can you maintain your simplified Chinese grammar and English technical vocabulary when you are caught off guard? In that Reddit user's case, the silence triggered the system to move on.
Which brings us to a critical part of our discussion: the common mistakes candidates make, specifically regarding how the AI interprets silence.
This is huge.
The biggest, most frequent complaint across all the Reddit sources is the phenomenon of the interrupting AI. Candidates frequently report that the bot just abruptly cuts them off mid-sentence.
Yes. And there is a very specific technical reason for this. It is not that the AI is being rude or impatient.
What is it then?
It operates on a strict voice activity detection system, commonly known as VAD. The VAD system is constantly monitoring your audio input threshold.
So if you pause to gather your thoughts,
Or if there is an extended silence of even a few seconds, the system's logic interprets that drop in audio as the definitive conclusion of your answer. It then automatically triggers the generation of the next question.
But wait, if the AI cuts you off just for pausing to think, isn't that a terrible way to evaluate complex problem solving? In a human interview, taking a thoughtful pause before answering a tough architecture question is usually seen as a sign of intelligence and deliberation.
It is a valid critique, and human candidates find it incredibly jarring. But from the AI's perspective, the system is calibrated for rapid, structured thought. It expects you to synthesize your answer instantly.
Candidates who treat it like a human conversation where comfortable silences are normal find themselves abruptly cut off.
And penalized for incomplete answers.
And this leads directly into the second major mistake: over-scripting. Because candidates are terrified of pausing and triggering that VAD system, they try to game the interview.
They prepare perfectly translated written scripts, often generated by ChatGPT beforehand.
And they just sit there and read them out loud to avoid any dead air.
Which is a fatal flaw. The AI is highly sophisticated when it comes to audio analysis. It detects the robotic, unnatural flow, the lack of natural breath pauses, and the flat intonation of someone reading a script.
To pass this evaluation, you need to sound organic. You must combine native-level simplified Chinese with conversational, fluid English.
Reading a script completely destroys the conversational cadence the AI is calibrated to score highly. It knows you are reading.
Another massive trap is ignoring the technical environment. Mercor's documentation is explicitly clear about this, yet candidates still mess it up.
Using Firefox or a mobile browser is a recipe for disaster. They are completely unsupported by the interview platform.
If you have a bad microphone with background static, the real-time transcription fails. And if the transcription fails, the AI literally cannot hear your technical brilliance.
And you fail.
Yeah.
Furthermore, human reviewers do occasionally audit these recordings for quality control. So having a messy background or wearing your pajamas will absolutely count against your professionalism score.
There is one more crucial mistake related to delivery: prioritizing speed over clarity. There's a very compelling case study in the sources from a Reddit user who was incredibly frustrated.
The one with the perfect test scores.
Yes, this candidate had a flawless 9 out of 9 score on their IELTS English proficiency test. Yet they struggled through the interview and worried they failed simply because they lacked a standard North American accent.
But the experts in the forums clarify that the AI does not actually penalize regional accents.
What does it penalize then?
Erratic pacing and poor articulation. When candidates get nervous, especially when bouncing between Chinese and English, they tend to speak faster.
Their words blur together.
Their enunciation drops, and the transcription software fails to parse the technical terms. Clarity and deliberate pacing are infinitely more important than raw speed or having a specific accent.
This raises the most important question for you, the listener. How do you practically prepare for an environment that demands such specific, machine-optimized performance?
The sources provide a highly effective roadmap, and it starts with structuring your answers using proven frameworks to prevent those pauses we talked about.
For behavioral questions, you absolutely must use the STAR method. situation, task, action, result. Keep it incredibly tight and focused.
But for code or technical walkthroughs, the sources strongly recommend the 5-point framework.
The 5-point framework is essential for the AI's real-time comprehension. Let us walk through how a candidate might actually deliver this.
First, provide a one-line summary of the project. Second, give the context, meaning the business need or the technical constraints.
Third, detail your actions, specifically your key design decisions.
Fourth, state your metrics and outcomes using hard numbers. Finally, offer a reflection on the trade-offs.
Let us contextualize that. If the AI asks about database migration, you do not just ramble. You say, summary. I led the migration from a legacy SQL database to a NoSQL solution.
Context. We were experiencing severe read latency during peak traffic hours.
Action. I designed a phased rollout or a Huidu deployment, sharding the data across multiple clusters.
Metrics. This reduced query latency by 40% and saved $10,000 in server costs monthly.
Reflection. If I did it again, I would have allocated more time for automated rollback testing. Boom.
Structured, dense, and no awkward pauses for the VAD to cut you off. If you structure every technical answer that way, transitioning between English and simplified Chinese seamlessly, the AI can perfectly parse your expertise.
Now, here's where it gets really strategic. You have a massive tactical advantage that most people do not utilize.
Mercor allows you to retake an interview up to 3 times.
This is a total game changer. You should absolutely leverage this retake policy. Do not view your first attempt as the final stressful verdict.
Treat your first attempt as a disposable scout run. Go in, experience the UI, understand the AI's specific cadence.
Trigger the VAD system just to see how sensitive it is, and hear the specific types of technical questions it generates based on your resume.
Then reset the interview from your dashboard, adjust your strategy, and go back in for a polished, highly optimized performance.
Another practical tip is keyword optimization. Before you start the interview, thoroughly review the specific job description for the evaluator expert role.
Look for specific terms like quality assurance review, rubrics, reinforcement learning, or large language models.
Write these exact keywords down on a physical notepad next to your keyboard. During the interview, organically weave these exact terms into both your English and your simplified Chinese spoken answers.
The AI's natural language processing model is literally programmed to listen for them to tick off competency boxes.
Finally, we have to emphasize the waiting room check. Before you ever hit that final start button, religiously use Mercor's waiting room feature.
Verify your microphone permissions in your system settings. Check your camera framing to ensure you look professional.
Ensure you are using the latest updated version of Google Chrome. A pristine technical setup is the absolute foundation of a successful AI interview. Do not fail because of a browser update.
Bringing it all together, acing the Mercor Chinese English AI interview is not just about getting a specific job evaluating language models.
It is truly a masterclass in modern, high-pressure, cross-cultural communication.
By learning to structure your thoughts flawlessly across 2 languages, and by understanding how to interface with a machine's cognitive constraints, you are building a highly valuable, future-proof skill.
It certainly forces us to elevate and tighten our communication, but it also leaves us with a provocative thought to ponder.
What is that?
As we train ourselves to speak in these perfectly structured, metric-driven frameworks, eliminating all natural pauses, hesitations, and human conversational quirks just to impress an AI gatekeeper, are we teaching the machines how humans communicate?
Or are the machines actively training us to communicate more like them?
That is a fascinating question to leave you with, and one we will all be navigating as these AI interviewers become the industry standard.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Mercor AI bilingual interview. Make sure to apply these frameworks and cultural translations to your next big opportunity, whether there is a human or a machine on the other side of the screen.
And please hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next exploration.
Until next time.